This episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur got pulled by Disney because Trump won. What? What is Moon Girl and is this like a kid's cartoon? Am I not up on the current? This looks sick. This is what the poster looks like? Hell yeah. It's Marvel? Whatever. Everything's Marvel. Now I like it less. With the episode's LGBTQ focus, Disney chose to shelve the episode. All right, everyone, pack it up. Rainbow capitalism is over. We're now going to the alternate timeline. We're going back in the closet. We're getting regular capitalism again. I hadn't even come out yet. Well, at least you're cozy in the closet then. Was mildly fun while it lasted. Yeah, now we're going to Hitler capitalism, which is also a thing. The storyline is about a trans girl wanting to play on a girls' sports team. Can I hit all of you with the hottest take in the world that all of you are going to get mad at me for? Why is it that all progressive kids media has to try so hard to be so progressive, you know? If you walk past a bookstore's kids aisle, you can tell like half of the authors have gender study degrees. And then if you look at the cartoons or whatever, look, I'm a Steven Universe defender. Don't get me wrong, okay? And I'm not saying like, okay, let me put it this way, all right? Alex Hirsch, when he made Gravity Falls, wanted to have some background characters be gay, and Disney said no. If Disney had not said no, all that would have changed would have been some of the background characters were gay. But it seems like so much progressive kids media doesn't just include representation, it's like about the representation. I feel like that kind of oversaturation reflects the interests of like millennials and Gen Xers who are concerned about social justice, but sometimes they might be a little bit overly, you know what I mean? Like, it's not morally wrong. I can just understand some people thinking it's a bit pushy, I guess. Not even pushy, like, ideologically, like, oh, I don't want my kids to see gay people or whatever. Pushy in the sense of, like, we get it. It's a progressive show. It's always been forced them out. I don't think that's true at all. I just think it's a consequence of people, like, overcompensating. They get into, you know, they get their gender studies degree or whatever, and then they get into Cartoon Network. Yeah, like the Proud Family reboot. What's wrong with a single cartoon about a trans woman, Vaush? I didn't say there was anything wrong about a single cartoon with a trans woman. You're reading statements that I have not spoken. You're hearing things that I haven't said. Watch the clip. You mean get copyrighted? No, thank you. Well, actually, it's unreleased, so it might not be in Content ID. Well, still no. Can you play the clip? No, it's not really relevant to what I'm talking about. I'm not condemning the show. Lazy writing is lazy writing. I'm not even talking about lazy writing. I'm not talking about quality of writing or lazy writing or anything like that. It's just, it's very apparent sometimes when people make works of art, especially for children, that they're coming at it from a like woke first perspective, I guess. And, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with being woke. It's just, it does sometimes feel a bit patronizing, I suppose. A little tokenizing. You're not the least bit curious in the actual clip? No? Would you say the same of Mr. Rogers? I have never watched Mr. Rogers, and I don't know if there would be any relevancy to what you've said. Or you're dipping back a half century in the past. People just be saying shit? Yeah. Wasn't the original run of the Proud Family, like, kind of progressive in that it touched on race issues, but then they did the remake, and there was a whole-on episode where all the characters are, like, directly talking to the audience about the history of slavery, and it's like, dude, I know, but don't you think this is going to mean that people only remember this show as like progressive propaganda and not as a show that people really like, and then later they're like, oh, I really like that, you know? I don't know. It's the overcorrection, yeah. This is why I don't want a Fresh Prince reboot. Oh god, yeah. The original Fresh Prince absolutely talked about like race issues, and then if they did a reboot, it would be like, that already happened? Oh, okay, I don't know anything about it. I don't care. I'm not engaging. There was a reboot. Okay. I'm not engaging. Okay. Maybe my assessment of how it would turn out to be was wrong. It was an edgy one? Okay, that's fine. I'm stepping back. I know, Jiminy, you've said that a few times now. You said it 5 times. I saw it every time. As a black femme, I would love to read a book or watch a movie where the black character's race is not the whole fucking plot. I would love media about us that wasn't specifically about social struggle. Yeah, I guess part of the whole dynamic of normalizing a marginalized group is that you should make their presence unexceptional because that's what it means to normalize them. So ideally, you would have settings where there are characters who are of a minority group, but you don't make the entire piece of media about their identity. Anyway, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this show, because I've not seen it. I haven't even seen this clip. Just something that seems to come up. Like, did they really do an episode that was about trans women and women's sports? Like, isn't that a bit on the nose? Like, isn't that really, like, not a general episode about acceptance or about how people should be able to identify how they want or whatever, but like a very pointed and specific, like, this is the topic at the moment? I don't know. That's not the entire thing. It's part of the episode. I mean, it's still pretty pointed. Not saying it's bad. Again, not making a statement of quality. Did you have a problem with this before the election, dude? I have made the point that I'm making right now before, yes. Like years ago. Multiple times. Yeah. I don't know what relevance that is, but queer writers don't be cringe. It's not about queer writers being cringe. I just think it's a little bit of a lost perspective on what the point of making that art is, if that makes any sense, you know? Like, remember that Arthur episode with the two gay people, the teacher and the other guy got married? They had a gay marriage and it got banned in Alabama because it was gay. Like, the episode wasn't about them being gay. It was revealed that they were gay, but they didn't even talk about it, you know? Like, they were gay, and the show was obviously accepting of it. I mean, the focal point of the story was the fact that it was a gay marriage, but it wasn't a gay marriage, it was a marriage that was gay. The fact that it was gay was not like a narrative point, you know? I just think it's important that when you're giving lessons to kids, if you sit kids down and you show them a slideshow on the transatlantic slave trade, they're going to be bored and not really care. And it's going to come across as really preachy, even to people who agree, I think. Whereas if you make a good piece of media that has underlying progressive themes, and I keep going back to like Avatar: The Last Airbender or whatever, but I think there are lots of shows from that era that carry that same basic message. Like, I don't know, Teen Titans or something, where like in retrospect, looking back at it, it's obvious that there was progressive messaging. Like I remember from Teen Titans, there was that one episode where Starfire was talking about, like, she was asking Cyborg if he knows anything about experiencing discrimination or whatever because she's an alien, and he's like, yeah, of course, I'm a robot, and he's a black guy. But there was like a beat where he says, of course, I'm half robot, you know? So yeah, and Raven was like a thing on mental health and illnesses and stuff. Yeah. There was a lot there, but it's not preachy in the sense that if you're a kid and you're watching that, you would go like, oh, I get it. I'm like, bust open your history books, everyone. We're learning about, you know, how prejudice plus power equals racism or something. Star Trek did this quite well too. I would say so. I mean, Star Trek isn't children's media, even in like TNG or Deep Space Nine. But like, I'd say they, for the most part, during the golden era, they touched on it in a pretty responsible way that made it like interesting to engage with, you know? Anyway, like, I'm a Steven Universe defender, so I'm not like against the principle or anything. Steven Universe is queer coded as well. Queer coded? Might be a slight understatement. Queer, yeah, painted. Queer dyed in a vat of rainbow ink. Vaush, I'm not trying to be that guy, but lately you've had a habit of admitting to progressive overstepping that you've previously denied for years. Can you provide an example? Because I've literally made this exact point before. Like, this I've said many times. So, like, what examples are there of that? At worst, this is lazy progressive messaging, not progressive overstepping. Yeah, I think overstepping is the wrong word too, because it implies that there's something wrong with the message being delivered, which I don't believe. I don't think that, like, it's bad because kids shouldn't be exposed to that or whatever at all. I don't think that's true at all. I think it's bad in the sense of it being lazy or poorly incorporated. Again, not referring to the dinosaur guy moon girl one, because I haven't seen that, but, you know, just kind of like a jumping off point. I kind of feel like you need to beat kids over the head with these messages. I think the opposite is the case, actually. I think that kids can tell when they're being condescended to or being given a history lesson, or they're being like directly, like, it's like what I've said about how one of the most effective ways to bring people on board with your ideology isn't to just straight up argue it to them or tell them or whatever, but instead to be likable to them. Like, have a gaming channel or whatever, show makeup tutorials, I don't care, and you like talk lightly about your ideology and why you feel the way you do, and try to win them over by way of their trust for you, you know? And like the way that translates in my head is like, you know, you can put all the progressive messaging that you want in a piece of media, but like even as a progressive, there are tons of pieces of progressive media where I like step on into it, I watch it, I play it, whatever, and it just rolls right off of me because I feel like I'm being patronized to, even if I agree. And I don't think there's anything weird about that at all. I think it's totally normal, even if you agree with an ideology or like an element of it, to not want media to be treated like a vessel specifically for delivering that. If I'm watching a show, it's because I want to watch a good show. If I'm playing a game, it's because I want to play a good game. If I'm playing a game and I feel like most of the attention of the writers went to like trying to impress upon me a given point, even if I agree with the point, I'm going to be annoyed. You know, but again, it's not overstepping in the sense that kids are being hurt or any bullshit like that. It's just a matter of like, you know, being diligent and temperate in how you implement stuff like that. And even then, there's variants. Again, Steven Universe, et cetera, right? That's why Christian movies are so bad. True! Yeah, you've seen, like, God is Not Dead, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 12, 115 or whatever, where, like, yeah, the entire point of the movie is to make you an idiot. And, like, there's no value or virtue to the movie at all, apart from making you an idiot. I sat through the first one somehow. How? Good Lord. Vaush, have had friends, not even kids, play a game like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and have all the political messaging go over their heads. Sometimes I do feel like you need to beat people over their head. But Metal Gear Rising does beat you over the head, is the issue. That's a different problem. That's about, like, satire and responsible messaging with, like, ambiguous points, right? Because even though a sensible person can understand that what Senator Armstrong is saying is insane, the narrative, I'm not getting into this discussion, okay? That's like an hour long. Like the video essayists tell, "Hey guys, ready for my breakdown of the politics of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance?" No, it's just a matter of like, don't you want stuff to be remembered well, like after the fact as well? You know, I don't know. I feel like people are going to think poorly of this era messaging wise, not for its content, but for the way it conveyed it. That's all. Do you think Disco Elysium was a bit too heavy-handed with leftist messaging? It seemed preachy to me at times. No, I would say it was the opposite of preachy. It was incredibly self-deprecating, and it posited everything through this like miasma of mental illness and varying viewpoints, and like every way forward is bad, but there's still like a kind of underlying moral current that guides you, you know? Anyway, it does suck that Disney is sending gay people to the camps or whatever. I mean, Arcane is pretty obvious with its messaging, but is still 10 out of 10. Loathe be me to praise Arcane, but yes. I mean, not 10 out of 10, but sure. No, Thana, that's important. Do you not like Arcane? I haven't seen season 2. I've only seen season 1. There are things about it that I don't like that much, I guess. But I still think overall it's pretty good. I'm not like an Arcane hater. Is season 2 out yet? Yeah. Well, it's just started. Quite the contrarian, huh? I'm not arguing about Arcane with gay people, and I know you're all gay. I'm not doing that. I understand, okay? I'm outnumbered. You'll all tear me apart. Tear me apart limb from limb. What's Arcane? This is VGG. You were looking for Google. As with SU, I don't think Arcane had overly direct progressive messaging. You're living in a fantasy world. You don't think Steven Universe had overly direct progressive messaging? It was 5 non-stop seasons of gay and transgender allegories in as thick of a, like, it could not, like a blanket draped over the, I mean, they committed to it, so gotta respect that. Sure, it was gay as fuck, but not beat over the head with it. I think the thing that made Steven Universe different is that even though Steven Universe is basically like entirely about wokeness, if we're using woke in the kind of pejorative, like blanket progressive terminology, but the narrative wasn't. The dressing, the elements, everything laid out, the way everything worked, the way the world worked, the way people were, both in like design sense and how they acted and everything, gay as shit. But the overarching narrative, point to point, was well constructed and mostly about, like, you know, cosmic battles and horrors and action and so on and so forth. So I think that helps it out. Like, I feel like if Steven Universe had 5 seasons where the narrative was mostly about like Steven trying to convince his friends to come out or something, you know, like if they taken the allegory and they try to like make that the narrative focus, because they did in like a generalized way, right? Gay wedding, Garnet, whatever. There's like a bunch of shit that happens in Steven Universe. I don't think they did it in a way that was preachy, I guess. It wasn't really preachy, I feel. Well, I don't know. What am I talking about? I haven't rewatched Steven Universe in ages. Came out a decade ago. Well, 9 years ago, I think. I remember the songs. It's true, Vaush. When I was a kid, I hated gay people, but then I watched Steven Universe and I realized them folks are all right. I'm glad it worked. Send a letter to Rebecca Sugar to thank them. They incorporated the gay stuff into the main plot so censors couldn't cut it out. Yeah, I remember they when they did the wedding scene with Garnet, with Ruby and Sapphire, they put Ruby, the masculine one, in a dress and Sapphire, the feminine one, in a suit. And the reason they did that is because multiple countries had censorship laws where they couldn't depict gay marriages. So they dressed them in a way that prevented them from sort of like narratively running on the idea that Ruby was a man. And two, like with redubs or whatever. And two, they put it in the same episode as a huge plot beat, so they couldn't cut it entirely. So they deliberately structured that in such a way to make it impossible to censor, or at least very difficult to censor. And apparently it worked pretty well. And it was narratively well paced, so they didn't even compromise the story for it, you know? Pretty brilliant move. Pretty like 5D shit. Anyway, I feel like we're kind of running on fumes with regards to this specific conversation.